Hi there, I'm Enraged Bard. For the past year I've been crafting a story centered around a character named Destana. I'm here to tell you through the use of Project Proteus, blogging, and keeping excellent notes, this grew into a massive 15-year tale centered around her and her family. This is also to reintroduce them and their changes after the invasion of Somerset. After the invasion of Somerset, I did a hard reset on my load order, switching to Nemesis and ESLifying over 100 mods. Needless to say, I had to recreate all my characters from scratch. I did a few episodes within the first couple of years after the Thalmor War, but at the end of this transition, 3 years have passed. Currently, it is year 220 of the 4th era. To show the passage of time, I have also changed their hair and looks just a bit. This is a long story. It begins in 201. Arc 1. Destana is not the Dragonborn. Destana arrived in Skyrim in 201 on a merchant vessel from Ghislaine, seeking to make her fortune. She quickly worked her way into the Thieves Guild, and because Vex and Delvin instantly took a disliking to her, they sent her on a bunch of thieving jobs on the far side of Skyrim. On the road, though at this point weak, she freed a Stormcloak from a group of Thalmor, who she already had a dislike for from her homeland. When she got to Solitude, she was thrown in prison for that and ripping down a poster. She absolutely hates Solitude and proceeds to go on a crime spree. Her first year in Skyrim was very eventful, with her eventually getting on the good side of the Thieves Guild, exposing Mercer Frey, but not hunting him down. She joins the Stormcloaks in the college, has a drinking contest with Sanguine, and subsequently marries him. At this point, the word Dragonborn hasn't even been mentioned in Skyrim. In 202, Destana worked her way up the ranks of the Stormcloaks and became a commander. She formed a team of able mercenaries with the likes of Inigo, Sophia, Shirley, and Sanguine, often in disguise, called the Stormblade Company. During this period, she finally defeated Mercer Frey, propping up the Thieves Guild by robbing every town as it was conquered. Then she becomes a Thane of Riften, gets involved with the Dark Brotherhood, but not very involved, adopts Runa Fairshield after seeing her in the orphanage, and buys Windstand Manor. She has her first son with Sanguine, Damien. There are rumors of dragons at Whiterun, and she finds out she's the Dragonborn when she goes to the Ruined Tower for the Jarl, though she refuses to take any action on Destiny's behalf. Basically, the Greybeards teach her basic shouts and tell her it's her destiny, and she tells them to shove it. After the Civil War is over, she finds that she's pregnant again with Ulfric Stormcloak's kid, Fenrir. Sanguine applauds this debauchery. And here there's a time skip, all the way to 210. In 210, she's running the Thieves Guild, and her two boys are potato age now. What kicked off this arc is Destana finds the jailer from Solitude who tortured her at the very beginning, and decides she wants to kill him. Runa, a teenager now, actually finds his hideout, and as part of the struggle, innocent Runa ends up having to finish him off. Even though Destana's there, she is indisposed. That night in Windstand Manor, Astrid visits them. Destana remembers. She performed the Black Sacrament. She was so desperate for revenge on her jailer, and now Runa is culpable for the kill. So Runa joins the Dark Brotherhood, and she finds out she's the chosen one to be the listener. But she's 15, so Destana stays on to protect her. During the course of the two killing everyone in the Dark Brotherhood questline, Destana makes a side trek to Helgen and helps rebuild it, aka the mod Helgen Reborn. Runa infiltrates the Emperor's luncheon, the Dark Brotherhood is betrayed, and they're able to save some of them. Destana solo kills the Emperor. The Dark Brotherhood begins to rebuild, and Destana finds she contracted vampirism from the Fight Cave in Helgen Reborn. So she goes to the Dawn Guard to try and find out if there's a cure for vampirism. They are less than helpful, giving her a mission in which she frees Serana. Around this time, Sanguine goes back to Oblivion. He can't spend unlimited time in Nirn. Damien joins the College of Winterhold even as a child to learn magery, and Fenrir goes to live with Ulfric and learn from him. Destana is offered true power by Harkon, and she accepts it, not being a stranger to doing whatever she can for power. She does missions for him under the pretense that she'll probably turn on him later, because his plan to blot out the sun is stupid. Up to the point they realize they'll need the Dragon Scroll, which she guesses is related to her taking the mantle of the last Dragonborn. She calls back up the Stormblade Company, finally contacts Delfino, they venture to Alduin's wall and figure out how to stop Alduin. Destana sends letters via courier calling the Moot in Skyrim. She acknowledges that she's the Dragonborn. She addresses the Jarls, stewards, and their guards, informing them that Alduin has indeed returned, but also tells them about Harkon's plan to block out the sun. She claims she will make this problem go away, but she won't do it for free. Her ultimatum: if she does this, Ulfric Stormcloak becomes High King, and she becomes Queen of Skyrim. Also, she wants to forge a lasting peace with the Forsworn. In order to make Skyrim strong, the people must be united, even those who are not Nords. Fearing for the future of the world, the Jarls take a vote, and more than half agree. So at this point, Destana does a couple of side treks before she decides to go to the past and figure out Dragonrend. She meets the Nair of Arene in Moon and Star. Then she uses the Dragon Scroll to learn Dragonrend. She finds Oriel's bow and defeats Harkon. She hands over the leadership of the Volkihar to Serana. Then, finally, she traps the dragon and ventures to Sovngarde and fights Alduin. While Destana is gone, Runa continues to build up the Dark Brotherhood, doing the Dark Brotherhood of Old and better Dark Brotherhood mods, eventually reforming 4 sanctuaries around Skyrim and being a base of operations for all Tamriel. They get many foreign contracts and fight a short war with the Morag Tong and Crimson Scars, both of which come back from not existing. However, when Alduin dies, it causes a kind of time slip. Not a normal dragon break, but a dragon break. So while Destana stays in Sovngarde and parties for 5 days, 5 months pass in Skyrim, and 5 years passed in the rest of Nirn. This causes quite a few things to happen, good and bad. First, there's a time wall that prevents travel to and from Skyrim during this period. Good news is, this is when I added a few town overhauls in new towns. When Destana gets back, Serana takes her on a tour of the new Skyrim, flying, and also teaches her to fly because Serana is an ancient vampire back before they outlawed flying, and she knows how to. Second thing, Runa, on a mission to Cyrodiil from the Dark Brotherhood, gets locked outside the time wall. So when Destana comes back, she is now 20. Fenrir and Damien are taken by Sanguine at the beginning of the Dragon Break to help him fight a war in Oblivion. They both spend quite a lot of time in Daedric realms, some of which have different flowing time. So when they return, they're 18 and 19. And strong warriors in their own right, though not as strong as Runa or Destana. So while Destana's in Sovngarde, she meets Isgrimor, and he has a request for her, to remove the rot from the companions. Not really understanding what he means, she and Runa join the companions and find out the werewolf curse. Runa refuses to become a werewolf and stops there, but Destana trades in her vampire card for a werewolf one, quickly working her way up the chain to become Harbinger. She abolishes the old rules and makes Vignar Greymane and Runa circle members. Later on, she actually hands Harbinger off to Vignar, but he's still Jarl at this point. During the companions' quests, Runa informs Destana that the Thalmor are waiting for the barrier to come down, and they're going to invade Skyrim. She was able to slip in through a narrow passage. The official story is she was traveling the world. I was going to have her do Beyond Skyrim Bruma quests here, but I never got around to it, and I'm recently just doing them. So the wedding with Ulfric is planned, and they're on a timetable because of the impending Thalmor invasion. But Destana has one more thing she wants to do. Destana gets herself thrown into prison with some Forsworn and befriends them, then joins the Forsworn. She passes their tests and becomes a shaman of the Forsworn, also adding to her own power. Eventually, she informs them of who she is and tells them she's going to free Modonach, her plan all along. Destana gets herself thrown into Sidna Mine now and breaks out the Forsworn there, using high-level calm spells to ensure nobody gets killed as they flee. I mentioned she joined the college, and she has been doing illusion to help her stealth pretty much this whole time. She manages to finish this the day before the wedding. She marries Ulfric Stormcloak in Solitude Temple. All of her friends up to this point are there, but also she built a relationship with Serana during her quest line. And surprise, she also wants to marry Destana. It's kind of a throuple situation. And now, Elisif the Fair crowns Destana Queen of Skyrim. As her first decree, she makes Nazir head of the Shadow Network of spies. Then she makes Thongvar Silverblood the Lord Administrator in charge of taxes for Skyrim and a new bank system. The job of Jarl of Markarth is now open, and Destana declares Madanat the Jarl and makes Sidna Mine a free mine. Workers are paid for their toil with bonuses. Thongvar is angered by this idea, but he goes along with it because he sees all that Destana has done, and she seems to know what she's doing. Then Destana makes the trek to the Azura statue and makes the Nerevarine head of the Skyrim Rangers, a new organization that, for the moment, is patrolling for the Thalmor. Also, because of the Dragon Break, otherworldly creatures begin to appear as the walls between different worlds get thin. I use this to explain when I added a bunch of creature mods. A few days before the barrier goes down, Destana meets a new friend in the Four Shields Tavern. His name is Solaire. He is also from another world. And then, on the last couple days, Destana, Runa, Serana, Damien, and Fenrir train for the upcoming conflict. And that's where the first arc ends. Next time I'm going to cover the second arc, called Destana is Not Invincible. It covers the Skyrim Thalmor War. Damien travels to Daggerfall with a twist. Fenrir goes to Elsewhere, and Runa goes to Cyrodiil. And that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed this today. It's something a little different. Happy modding.